in three.
Going for the St. Louis now.
Oh no!
Son of a bitch.
You getting two?
Yeah.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thotgor here, of course, and today we are going to take a look at a battle in the Kutuzov. I love this ship. I know, as many of you probably know, but she is an amazing cruiser. Really good, and we get to play her on Epicenter today. Now, I actually do enjoy the Epicenter game mode. I think that this is a great game mode because it promotes people actually moving in and fighting it out, which is always great to see. And on this map, Trident, Epicenter is actually a good fit because on both sides of the spawn here, there is some smaller islands that you can use as cover as you're, blocking the cap in certain zones. And then there's also that one large island that you can see I'm sailing towards right now that both sides can utilize to get behind and block the capture of the middle point being the most important anyway. So that is pretty critical for Trident and, the opportunity for Epicenter to work on a map like this. And it makes for some good games, at least I find anyway, and we're going to take a look at one of those good games. Now, this recording obviously is after the commander skill commander skill rebuff or changes, whatever you want to call them. So that means on this commander, this is my 19-point Russian commander, he has Demolition Expert and the Inertia Fuses, and we will see how well that works on the Kutuzov. It does work very well indeed. Now, someone has mentioned in the comments or on the video asking, will it, or is the Inertia Fuse as good on the higher caliber guns? Now, this is a very interesting question, and I'm still kind of working with it and playing around to see if it is or isn't. It's questionable. I definitely notice it with these lower caliber guns because they just have a lower, damage values and whatnot. And we can see just raining down shells here on the North Carolina. We're doing some pretty decent damage. So you can definitely notice it and see it on these 152s that the Kutuzov has. But anyway, we have the North Carolina moving in behind some cover, so we're not going to be able to get too many shots off of the player, but we do see that we do have a fire set on the player, which is good. We take a look off in the distance. We see some other ships. We have a cruiser over there that we're going to put some shots into, but we do see some other battleships over there as well, and I do kind of want to get a little closer. The concealment on the Kutuzov is not anything spectacular, but it can work for you at times. Really, the main selling feature here is the smoke, right? And that's probably a really important Kutuzov skill as well, is just knowing when to deploy your smoke and how, and that sort of stuff. It's a little tricky, but once you get a few battles into her, it does become fairly straightforward. We see New Mexico there off in the distance, so I'm going to put some shots into that player. And again, I'm just trying to spread around the damage to the enemy team as much as I can and trying to get as many fires as I possibly can. We have North Carolina over there sailing broadside, so I figure what the hell, why not? And because on this captain I do also have priority target, and we can see that now I've become targeted, no longer am targeted, this is really valuable information that it's giving me. Because right now I'm sailing basically broadside on, and I know how many enemy ships are actually targeting me. And then using, my senses in conjunction with this, looking at the enemy North Carolina and watching where he's firing, I know that player isn't actually firing at me. So the only, enemy North Carolina is the biggest threat there out of those ships that we have, enemy ships we have in front of me. So, of those enemy ships, I know that the biggest threat isn't actually targeting me, and I'm not going to come under fire from this player. I could be targeted by an enemy destroyer, maybe lining up torpedoes, something like that, but I haven't received any incoming fire, and that is why, one of the many reasons why, I think that The priority target is such a valuable skill to have, especially on your cruisers. Your destroyers as well, very obvious. Battleships, I don't know, probably depends on the person captaining the battleships, whether or not you want that skill. I didn't take it on mine, but on my cruisers and destroyers, oh yes. So you can see that we are, pummeling away at the enemies here. We have one enemy ship gone so far. I'm trying to light some fires here on this enemy battleship off in the distance. We're still taking a look around the battle, though, in the map, right? Using our situational awareness, taking a look at the mini-map to see where some of the enemy ships are and where we can expect to find other enemy ships. We see some torpedoes coming in, and we're easily going to be able to dodge these torpedoes. This is good. The Kutsov doesn't take torpedo damage very well at all. So we want to try and avoid taking any torpedoes at any time, if at all possible. There we go. We managed to dodge a second spread of torpedoes, and we're going to get ourselves actually into the middle of the map here. Try and start blocking the cap, because we know the enemies have some destroyers lurking around. In fact, there's one of them now. So we do have to try and do something about these players. We don't want them to, especially the destroyers and players that are in the middle of the map here, we don't want these people to dictate to us the terms of the battle, right? We want to dictate it to them. So there we go. We see quick glimpse of the enemy destroyer sailing away, so we're not going to be able to get any shots on the player. So alright, I'll just focus back onto some of these enemy battleships. So we do see the enemy North Carolina over there on fire. Well, just put out the fire, so if we can get another fire going, that would be great. We look at the mini-map and we see that there are some other enemy ships over there with the enemy North Carolina, so we do want to be careful. We are spotted, and there's only, well, now there's no one targeting us, so this is good. We see the enemy Scharnhorst there off in the distance. Player is not targeting us. We can tell, obviously by where he fired. So we'll go ahead and throw some high explosives downrange for that player, maybe set the player on fire. We're going to focus back over onto the enemy North Carolina and try to light this player back on fire. All in the meantime too, right? I'm paying attention to the destroyers that are here and around me with, in and around these islands, because I don't want to pop out from one of these islands and just eat a bunch of torps. That would be an awful time. So I'm going to try and avoid that. We do have the enemy North Carolina that we were firing at originally once, when the battle first began. This player is still over here, maybe being a little annoying to some of my allies. I might try and get myself into position to deal with the player, but again, I have to be careful because this island on my port side, don't want to go beyond this island and get torped by enemy destroyers. This would be awful. So there we go. We see the enemy North Carolina. The player is in a reverse, so I have to make sure that I'm going to get some nice shots in before I just fire my guns off all willy-nilly. There we go. There's a nice fire on the enemy North Carolina. The fire looks to be holding. Now it most likely is just that the battleship captain is probably going to let the fire burn, or maybe see if I light another fire before using the repair. You can see I did just take some pretty big hits there from that enemy North Carolina, so I am going to try and get myself out of the situation. North Carolina is reversing back into cover. There's not a whole lot I'm going to be able to do to dislodge this player unless I sneak up behind him and torp him. That's not something that I'm really looking to do at this point in time in the battle, so I'm just going to let that North Carolina be over there for now. Take a few pot shots off the enemy destroyer there off in the distance, but mainly I'm going to focus back in over here to the middle of the map and see what more havoc I can cause on these enemy ships as they start appearing. So looking off in the distance, we see a New Mexico, there's a Scharnhorst, and I think there's also an enemy North Carolina still out there as well. So we see them, I see them, and we're just going to kind of take stock of the situation, see what we've got. Again, I'm going to be making my priority to set these battleships on fire. Not only is it good for the team, but it's good for me. It's going to equate to a lot of damage racked up pretty quickly, especially if I can get all of them on fire. That's what I'm going to attempt to do during these next few minutes here in the battle. So you can see shots are going out into the enemy North Carolina. Those shots are landing pretty good. You can see I just got my first fire on the North Carolina. Very close. I had to avoid the the allied Miyoko there. I didn't want to collide and get stuck. I do have the option of smoke, but again, utilizing priority target, I realize that I'm not actually targeted by anyone, so I'm not going to deploy my smoke at this point in time. Of course. I say it, and then I do it in game. Obviously, that's the way that's going to work. All right, well, we got our smoke deployed, so we're no longer spotted, but we are going to continue to rain HE shells into these enemy battleships. We see we finally have a fire on the enemy North Carolina, 2 fires in fact, and those fires are sticking. That player is not going to be able to repair those fires. They will burn. Enemy Scharnhorst here off in the distance, going bow on. This is excellent. I love seeing battleships that are bow on when I'm in my Russian cruisers, because I'm easily able to do that. Put some shots into them, set them on fire. We can see the enemy Scharnhorst has put out the fire, so we know that now that's on cooldown. So that fire that I just said went out. If we can get a few more shots in on the Scharnhorst, we might be able to get the player on fire. There we go. Scharnhorst is on fire, so that's 2 fires on 2 enemy ships. Put some shots out into the enemy New Mexico, who is already on fire, so we know the player doesn't have any repair right now at the moment. And hopefully we are going to set that player on fire as well. There we go. All 3 battleships now burning away, and the damage numbers just keep on going up, right? This is ideal situation. Now, I guess in retrospect with the smoke, probably a good call on the smoke, deploying it here, knowing that I was going to, stop and just pelt away at these 3 battleships. But damn, that was ironic at the time. Enemy North Carolina, rather, has put out the fire, and so we're going to put some more shots into the player and let the player burn some more. Player has used the repair, so we are going to just hope that we can get a few more fires set now that that's on cooldown. So those fires will also burn for their duration. And our smoke is now gone because we are spotted. So we do need to get ourselves out of this situation. We cannot just sit here and allow the enemy battleships to start putting shots into us. Because the Kutsov, as amazing as she is, does not enjoy getting hit at all. Very little armor, very high citadels, very easy to citadel and take down for an enemy battleship, so we just want to make sure that we're always maneuvering around when we are not in our cloak. And by cloak, of course, I mean the smoke, which, Romulan cloaking device. But anyway, Scharnhorst here off in the distance, so we're going to put some shots into the player. You can see I do have the enemy New Mexico bearing down, coming on me from the port side of my ship, so I do want to be aware of this player as well. We have some fires burning on the Scharnhorst, which is great. You can see my friendly Bayern just got taken down, and I thought that this is where it was all going to go wrong for me. Because it's the enemy Bayern who is the center of attention for the enemies there and eating all of those shots from the Scharnhorst and the other enemy ships. Now the Bayern is gone, and now I'm concerned that all these enemy ships are just going to focus on me. We can see that my smoke has just come off cooldown, which is perfect. Really need this smoke. So I'm going to try and get myself into a position now where I can just start pelting away at the enemy New Mexico using my smoke and the island that's behind me as cover from the enemy Scharnhorst and the other enemy ships that are over there, because we can see on the minimap that there are definitely other enemy ships over there. So we'll pop our smoke to get hidden. We launch our torpedoes off at the enemy New Mexico, hoping that those torpedoes end up finding their mark, and we're just going to continue to pelt away here at the enemy New Mexico, keeping the player on fire, and the player has been on fire for quite some time. And it's been my fire too. So the New Mexico puts out the fires, and it's just a simple matter of reloading our guns, sending some shots down range, getting another fire burning, and there we go. New Mexico's back on fire. We can see our torpedoes are coming in, and it does look like one of those torpedoes is going to hit the enemy New Mexico, which is fantastic. There we go. Enemy New Mexico is gone. And we get ourselves a nice high caliber. Perfect. We have some enemy planes overhead, which is not a problem at all for the Kutsov. The Kutsov has amazing secondary armament, so simply pop my defensive fire ability, and we are now dealing with the enemy North Carolina. You can see what I mean about those HE inertia fuse shells, right? Those shots went into the bow of the North Carolina within 2 salvos. Player is dead, gone. Now we have an enemy Kiev, yes, an enemy Kiev here in front of us, as well as an enemy battleship just on the other side of that island. So we really do need to play it careful here. Launch our shots off into the enemy Kiev. Enemy Kiev goes down. Perfect. We can see that the enemy battleship is now gone as well, but we do still have that enemy destroyer over there. Shuriatsuryu or something like that. A really good destroyer. She's slow as all hell, but man, so good, really good concealment. an amazing ability to put torpedoes down range. In fact, the Shiryatsu thing can put more torpedoes down range than the Shimikaze. One more torpedo down range than the Shimikaze, but still, that's more. Anyway, our smoke is now gone. You can see I'm in reverse, just kind of peeking beyond the island because I again, want to be careful about enemy torpedoes, but we also notice we have ally torpedoes coming in as well, so not really looking to get killed by an ally here, so I'm going to put it back into full speed, basically. We're going to come around the island and see if we can't root out that enemy destroyer, get the player gone. We only have the enemy destroyer and the enemy carrier remaining, and I figured at this point, right, I've got the 3 kills. I might get the 4th kill, but I'm probably not going to get that enemy aircraft carrier, right? The player is all the way over there as well. We do have, I do have an ally to Thotgor who's really close and is most likely going to start harassing that enemy carrier any moment. So chances of me getting a Kraken aren't going to be too good, but I really have nothing to complain about here, right? We have done some big damage and have killed quite a few enemy ships so far. So we're coming around the island, hoping that the enemy destroyer is still in the smoke. Now, if you're going to be doing something like this, charging the smoke, you always charge the smoke bow on. Wherever you may think the enemy destroyer is, the enemy destroyer pops up. We saw him in a turn, so we fire for the turn, get the kill. Fantastic. 4 kills now. But when you're charging this smoke like this, you always go bow on, aiming for where you think the enemy destroyer is, presenting as small of a target as possible for that enemy destroyer, because if the player launches torpedoes, you want to be able to avoid them. So we are going to turn ourselves around while capping all 3 of these cap points, which, by the way, we'll notice I do finish a task for the campaigns. I'm done all the campaigns now. I'm just a matter of doing all the tasks just to say I did them all. But you earn 3 base or base assist captures in one battle. Epicenter is a perfect way to do that. Just simply kill all the enemies within 3 zones, stay in the 3 zones, cap all 3. There you go, challenge done. And I know that's easier said than done, but oh well. So we do manage to cap all 3 zones now. Perfect. We have a bit of a point lead here, but we're not close to the 900. So I'm thinking to myself, well, maybe Thotgor, we can get ourselves into position here and get the kill on the Lexington. That would mean we get ourselves a nice Kraken, which would be nice. At the very least, though, I did want to set fire to the Lexington because I just looking at the damage numbers here, I know that a lot of damage was dealt by fire, and I'm pretty sure that I just need a bit more fire damage to get myself a nice Witherer. And I always like getting myself a nice Witherer because those are some decent flags to have for your cruisers. Decent indeed. Anyway, get a few hits there on the enemy Lexington over the mountain. I used the little depression, I guess, in the land there to fire over in between the mountains to land those shots. Really just luck more than anything else because I had no idea where the Lexington was. No depth on that, right? Because I can't see the player. We can see some torpedoes coming in from my allied, I think it's from the allied carrier, maybe the Thotgor. But those torpedoes I was sure was going to kill the enemy Lexington. Enemy Lexington does take a few of those torpedoes. We see more on the way in. Now those are definitely from the Thotgor. And now I can finally see the bow of the Lexington. So I start putting some shots into the Lexington. I start getting a little excited, thinking, oh man, we are going to pull out a Kraken out of this one. Maybe just yet. There is my fire, so a bit of fire damage. And I was hoping for the Witherer, so that should pop up any moment. There we go. Get the Witherer. Fantastic. Fire still burning away. Enemy Lexington is almost gone. Oh well. Again, nothing to complain about. It was a good battle. So enemy Lexington goes down. My ally Thotgor got the kill on that with the flooding damage, so kudos to that player. And now it's just a matter of seeing how much damage and money we're going to walk away with. So 182,000 damage, not too bad. Get the Wither and the high caliber. Like I said, completed the task there. You can see, capture the 3 bases or 3 base assist captures. Not too bad. I think it was something like 22 fires, maybe. I just quickly glanced at that. Maybe it's 12. Well, I'll probably have to say 12. So 12 fires, not too bad either. Top of the team overall. We can see here how some of the damage has broken down. You can see a lot of damage being dealt to that enemy North Carolina, yes. That player there was probably not happy at all. Anyway, when all is said and done, you can see, again, Kutuzov being premium, but we do end up walking away with 562,000 credits, 6,700 experience on the Kutuzov, but more importantly, a lot of commander experience, which equates to the elite commander experience, which is awesome because I got the Neptune, I bought the Neptune, put the captain on the Neptune, or from the Edinburgh to the Neptune, and then retrained the captain instantly using elite commander experience. I was very, very happy with the whole thing. Anyway, folks, that is the end of the video. I do hope you guys enjoyed it. Remember to leave any comments you have for me in the video comment section below. Love reading those and responding back to them. Remember to hit the old like button if you did like today's video. Hit subscribe if you are not a subscriber, and as always, I do hope you enjoy the rest of your day.